Hello, I'm Domingos Langa. I work for World Food Program Mozambique, WFP Mozambique. And thank you for having us in this Financial Inclusion Week. We are going to be sharing the experience of World Food Program in financial inclusion through village savings and loans groups. WFP Mozambique has been implementing its integrated climate risk management project, which includes 4 components aiming at building rural resilience in the face of climate shocks. In other words, helping farmers to cope with extreme weather or extreme climate events. The integrated climate risk management project has been implemented in 2 provinces in the central part of Mozambique. And these areas were selected due to their very arid conditions, very arid conditions. And you know, in very arid conditions, agriculture is very difficult, and therefore people in these areas face very difficult conditions for producing food, and their levels of food security was very low at the start of the project. And WFP has been supporting around 12,000 people in Tete and 6,000 people in Sofala, and the numbers will be growing slowly. The project includes 4 components. The first component is risk reduction through conservation agriculture. The second component is risk reserve through village savings and loans groups. The third component is risk transfer through agricultural microinsurance. And the fourth component is prudent risk taking through knowledge about climate services. I'll be focusing on the second component, which is risk reduction through village savings and loans groups. Farmers who benefit from conservation agriculture, when they start implementing the techniques of conservation agriculture, we have realized that their outputs in the farms have grown, and due to this growth, their issues with food security have reduced. Not only that, but they also started generating a lot of food surplus, which enabled them to participate in the markets and selling part of their food supplies and generating some income. One of the biggest challenges that we have in the rural parts of Mozambique is the very short footprints of formal financial institutions. We do not have banks around the rural places. Most of the branches of financial services are located in the district headquarters, and most of the people that we serve, they do not live necessarily in the headquarters of the district, but they live far away from the headquarters, which means they do not have access to formal financial services. The circulation of income, the circulation of money is very limited, and people do not have financial resources to help them invest with alternative activities to agriculture, or even financial resources to help them, purchase products in the market. So people rely mostly on barter trade, and with barter trade, it's very difficult or very reduced ability for people to participate in the market. So after WFP supported farmers in the creation of village savings groups, the members of the village savings and loans groups started witnessing the volumes of savings growing in the village saving groups, and also they started making loans, and through these loans they were able to invest in activities alternative to agriculture, and through these investments they started generating more income apart from what they generate in the agriculture. I want to share with you one or a couple of examples that show the impact of village saving groups in building financial inclusion. We had one farmer in Tete who, after learning the techniques of conservation agriculture, he planted beans for an area of 1 hectare, and at the end of the planting season, when he harvested his beans for 1 hectare, he had to wait for buyers to come to the farm to sell his produce. And at the farm, he could only sell the produce at 40 meticash per kilo. 40 meticash per kilo is around 80 cents of a dollar per kilo. And with that amount of money, he continued farming beans on the following year. And at the end of the season of the following year, the same buyers who used to come to buy beans from him, they delayed to come. What did he do? He went to the village saving groups, he borrowed money, he hired a truck, and he carried all his produce from his farm to the city center. And instead of selling the produce at 40 meticash, he sold it at 75 meticash per kilo. That was around $1.30. So the cost or the price of his produce almost doubled, and he generated more income than he would generate if he had waited for the buyer to come to his farm. And after 1 week, he completed the sale of his beans. He went back to his village. He returned the money that he had borrowed in the village saving groups, and with the generated income, he increased the area of production from 1 hectare to 3 hectares. He bought a water pump. He hired 3 more workers. Together they dug a well, and with a water pump they were able to pump water from the underground and irrigate, the field. And having grown from 1 hectare to 3 hectares to 4 hectares of land, that meant the amount or the quantity of produce, the quantity of beans that they produced on the 3rd year, it was a lot. And when we interviewed this farmer, he was dreaming about, producing more, expanding the production area, producing more cash crops, hiring more people, and he was dreaming about building a bigger house because of his participation in the village savings and loans groups. So now I'm telling you, wow, these things is helping the farmer. So what are the village savings and loan groups? Okay, so village savings and loan groups are groups that are created to, let me find a simple definition, because we have a lot of jargons. I want to use simple terms. So village savings and loan groups are groups of farmers which come together to save their monies, and then from these savings they get some small loans to invest in their interests. These groups are comprised of 25, WFP helps to create these groups by putting together 25 people, train them on how to run the village savings and loan groups, help them to write the statutes or the rules of engagement for each group. They created a management team on the group, which have to be selected by the group members themselves. So the WFP teaches them how to run the group, but empowers the group members to run it by themselves. They create their own rules on what to save, how much to save, how many times to meet per month, how much should a member get as loans, what are the interest rates on these loans, how long, how many months should the saving cycle go through, and what are the dates for the share out at the end of the cycle. How does WFP support the creation of groups? By mobilizing the villagers to come together as a group, by training them about how these groups work, help them draft the statutes for the group, and provide the basic kits for the group to run. What constitutes the basic kits? The saving box, which is a metallic safe with at least three padlocks with different keys. So they receive that kit of the box. They receive some booklets where they have to register the amount of money they save. The second experience that we had of a successful village savings and loans groups is a lady from one of the groups in Tete who used to sell in the market by putting her produce on the floor. After being part of the VSLA group, she borrowed money and she built her first shop. And this shop was built using not just conventional rural available materials, but she used cement to reinforce the walls of this shop. And with the money that she had borrowed, she was able to purchase produce to fill up the shop. And in 3 months, she was able to sell enough goods to pay back the loan. And after that, she witnessed that her business had grown significantly, so that she was able to send the kids to school in the city and also change the roofing of her house from grass to iron sheets. These are some of the benefits of the VSLAs that we see in the rural communities. And just to have an idea, in Tete, WFP has supported the creation of 480 groups, each group with 25 people, from 2020 to 2023, and the numbers are still growing. In Sofala, WFP has supported the creation of 125 groups from 2021 to 2023, and the numbers are still growing. So these are some of the benefits that through the support of WFP we have been witnessing financial inclusion through VSLAs, because apart from the groups that were supported by WFP, the same groups are helping to create other groups in the rural communities. And one of the groups that we went to monitor their activities, they witnessed that they had facilitated or supported the creation of 3 other groups in their communities. So not only farmers who are supported by WFP are also creating VSLA groups, but also farmers from the rural community around the areas where WFP is intervening. They're also creating other village savings and loan groups. So what are village savings and loans groups? Village savings and loan groups are a group of people who come together to save their monies together or commonly, and from these monies that they save together, they also get small loans to invest in their own activities. This is what you call village savings and loans groups. How does WFP help in the creation of these groups? WFP supports in the creation of these groups by first mobilizing the communities and explaining to them what are the village savings and loan groups and how do they work. And after this explanation, WFP challenges the community to come together by self-selection of the members, form groups of maximum of 25 people. So the one village savings and loan groups has to be between 10 to 25 people. 10 is a minimum because 10 people can have a sizable amount of funds that are possible to get loans from that amount, and 25 people as the maximum number, because beyond 25 people, it becomes very difficult to manage the group. So after mobilizing the community and the community selecting the people to form the VSL groups, WFP supports with the training these people who are interested in creating a group. So WFP trains them on what is a VSL group, how does it work. WFP also trains the people on the drafting of the constitution of the group, which includes the rules of the engagement for the group. So members should know how are they supposed to interact within themselves when it comes to the VSLA group. WFP also supports them in defining what is the amount to be saved per person, which should be the lowest amount that will enable every person in a group to save. But this amount should be defined not by WFP but by the groups themselves, because they are the ones who understand their context, their financial ability to save, and what is feasible and not feasible for themselves. So WFP facilitates the process, but they are the ones who define how much they should save, and also the group members define what is the amount to be given as loans, the maximum amount to be loaned, and also define the interest rates on the loans. So the groups themselves define the interest rates on the loans, and the majority of the groups charge interest rates between 10% and 20% as the average. But we have also seen groups that have loans at 30% interest rates. That shows the appetite for loans in the rural settings, and also the ability of the group members to generate income to pay back the loans with interest. And the group members are also taught on how to define the periodicity of the meetings. So most of the groups meet once or twice per month. They also have to define the duration of the cycle. So most of the groups save for 9 months to 12 months. Usually the cycle starts at the end of the harvest season, because that's when farmers are able to generate income, and they go up to December. That means the end of the agricultural season ends in March or May, so they start saving from May up to December, and at the end of the cycle in December they do what is called share out. That's a period where every group member receives the amount of money that he has saved, but also gets a top up from this amount based on the interest rates that the group was able to generate through the loans that they give to the group members. And this becomes an attractive or an incentive to the members to save and also to generate income. The support from WFP goes from financial literacy to material support for the effective functioning of the group. So the material support includes the saving box, because in the rural settings, as I said before, there are no banks. So the funds that are generated on the VSL groups are placed in the box, which is a metal box with 3 padlocks, and these padlocks have different keys. And the way the groups are organized is such that 3 people have to hold the key, and the box remains with a 4th person. So for security, we have 4 people here that guarantee the safety and the security of the saving box. And then the village saving and loans groups has a management structure which includes the president, the vice president, and the secretary. And the secretary of the group has to be someone who knows how to read and write, because it's the same person who is responsible for recording all the savings and the loans that are, transacted within the group. Why are the groups, savings and loan groups, effective? According to our assessment, these groups have become very effective for some reasons, which I'm going to mention. The first reason why the village saving groups are effective is because of the selection of the group members. The group members are selected based on the trust and affinity that the members have with one another. WFP does not impose or does not determine who should join the group. The group members are the ones who select their members, and these members are selected based on trust. And because they trust each other, everyone works or everyone participates in a group as a brother's keeper. So they make sure that all of them save. They make sure that when someone gets a loan, gets the loan responsibly, gets the loan because the person has a place to invest or has a product or something to invest on. And the group members make sure that the people with the loans are able to return, are able to pay back the loans and pay back the loans with interest. This is what makes the group effective in their savings, in their giving out loans, and also in paying back the loans. How do village savings and loan groups help building resilience? Because at the end of the day, what WFP is doing is supporting rural communities to build resilience and to become resilient, especially to climate shocks. Through village and savings loans, through village savings and loans groups, the community is able to save the income they generate from agriculture. And remember, agriculture is seasonal. That means they harvest in one period and they have to make sure that what they harvest in 1 month has to stay for the entire year. So through village savings and loan groups, when the farmers harvest and sell their produce, the saving groups help them to balance their expenditure. They do not spend their money once off, but they put their monies on the saving groups and they're able to create a balance or an equilibrium on the way they spend their monies along the year. That's one. The second reason is because they have a place to have access to funds, they're also able to get loans to invest in activities apart from agriculture. On the season where agriculture is dormant, they're able to invest in other activities and keep on generating incomes. For instance, some people invest in selling bread, for instance. Some people invest in buying goods from the city and coming to sell in the rural community. Some people buy assets. Some people buy motorcycles. Some people buy bicycles. Some people buy living animals. And living animals are also a way of saving money in the rural community. And when there is a climate shock like drought, where there is no grain in their homes, at least they have animals which they can take for slaughter for food, or they can sell it to generate income and buy grain or buy cereals from other places where they have supplies. Village savings and loan groups also help in case of a drought or a climate shock. People know that they can have access to the village savings and loan groups to borrow some money, to buy food and face the period of drought or the period of shock until when the situation has calmed down, and then they can go back to their agricultural activity and start producing their crops and putting back the money they've loaned, they've gotten from the village savings and loan groups. So having said this, we have seen that VSLAs, or village savings and loan groups, are beneficial to our rural communities. However, we have also seen some challenges with VSLAs, and the challenges are basically in two aspects. The first challenge for village savings and loan groups is security. In 3 to 4 years, the amounts of money that have been saved have grown tremendously, and most of these funds are kept on the box, which I mentioned before. And this has posed a challenge. Out of the 480 groups, we have seen in 3 groups where the money box was stolen. And although people were affected, the same 3 groups where the money box was stolen, they were able to resume their savings because they had noticed that the savings are very beneficial to them, and they continue saving. So security of the saving box is one of the challenges. The second challenge is that as people learn to borrow money to invest on other activities, their need for liquidity grows, and in most of the groups, the demand for loans has surpassed the amount of funds available in the box. So lack of liquidity that is enough to serve or to cater for the demand of every member in the group has become the second challenge. In the face of these 2 challenges, WFP has seen an opportunity for digitalizing the village savings and loan groups and linking them to the financial formal financial institutions. So this year WFP is piloting the process of digitalizing the VSLA groups and linking them to the formal financial institutions, especially through mobile money network, which has a wider footprint than the formal banks themselves. So this year we have been piloting the digitalization of formal financial service. This year we have been piloting the digitalization of VSLAs, and that will be our next exercise for the next months, and we'll see how this process will turn out to be in the process of making the VSLA groups more safer and with liquidity that is never ending. So this is in a nutshell what WFP has been doing with financial inclusion through VSLA, or Village Savings and Loan Groups, in Mozambique. We believe that this process can be replicated not just in the 2 provinces that we are in, but throughout the country, and there is a demand for financial resources all over in the entire country, and the financial service institutions not being able to serve these communities through village savings and loan groups. We can assist the communities and help communities build resilience by providing to them, financial resources for loans, and also means of risk reduction in the community. Thank you so much. I hope this experience has inspired you somehow, and yes, we are here to get more and learn more and also share more from what we are doing. Thank you so much.